You ever have someone scream at your door before you've had your morning coffee? Get out right now. You're disrupting harmony. That's what she hollered from my porch, Harmony, as if that's not the most ironic name for a neighborhood run like a cheap reality show with better shirts. I wish I could tell you I was dreaming, but nope, this was real. There I stood, hands still covered in mint green paint, wondering if I'd accidentally wandered into an HOA horror flick. Bought this fixer-upper with my own hard-earned money, spent weeks sanding and painting, breaking my back. Now suddenly, I'm public enemy number one. You ever had neighbors stare like you're about to rob your own place? Yeah, that happened. And if you've got an idea what you'd do in my shoes, drop it in the comments because my knees are still shaking. Name's Alex Walker, restoration contractor, yeah, licensed. My whole life's about giving dead houses a second chance, so this 1920s relic was supposed to be my masterpiece. First morning, the air was full of that mellow wood scent, sunlight playing tricks on the new paint, and I was just soaking in the satisfaction when bam, something white flashes on the porch. Card hanging there with a red streak across the top. Harmony notice third warning. Except the address isn't mine. It's the abandoned lot 3 doors down. Real professional, right? On the back, someone scrawled a frantic message in blue ink about porch sounds and emergency measures. Not a single official stamp, just messy handwriting looked more like a grocery list than a legal warning. As I'm turning this over in my hand, something glints between the porch boards. Old metal key, tarnished with faint scratches. My fingers dig out a loose board and underneath I find a cracked pink wooden box. Box has a tiny lock, but the key's the wrong size. Just then this elderly guy calls out Walter Heron. Been around since the 50s, seen more turnover than a cheap motel. I hold up the key, ask if he's got any idea what it opens, and his eyes go a little funny. Porch used to be the heart of the street. People, kids, families everywhere, then rules took over. Watch out for that group, son, they don't like change. He nods at the Harmony card. Then he disappears for his morning walk, leaving me with more questions than answers. You ever notice how some places just feel heavy? Like every board in that house was holding a story nobody bothered to tell. The more I poked around, the more it felt like I was unearthing secrets meant to stay buried. That key, the wrong address on the notice, careless mistake, or am I being set up? And what kind of HOA uses handwritten warnings, smelled like trouble? Fast forward to Tuesday night, I'm hauling in gear when Luis Ramirez, my neighbor from across the street, electrician hands like sandpaper, shows up with his phone. You need to see this, he says, looking dead serious. On his screen, 3 people in matching beige shirts, neighborhood patrol in red letters marching from house to house like census takers. Clipboards, folders, the whole 9 yards. They stopped at every single house but mine. Luis says they were talking about disturbance claims coming from my direction. Except get this. I'd been working quietly all week. No music, no power tools, just sanding by hand. Luis said nobody could tell him what the disturbance actually was, just a lot of vague warnings and nervous glances. That night, 3 of these patrol folks ring my bell. Cynthia King, gray hair type bun, HOA president, and self-declared queen of Willowbrook Heights, flanked by 2 men who looked like they'd rather be at the dentist. Cynthia smiles, that politician smile, says, "We need to discuss your renovation activities." I lean on the door frame, keep my voice casual. What confusion are we talking about exactly? All my permits are county approved. Cynthia waves that away like it's nothing. County permits are just the beginning. Our community requires oversight, harmony, aesthetic consultation approvals, never once gives a straight answer, just dances in circles for 10 minutes. No documents, no actual violations, just veiled threats and bureaucratic mumbo-jumbo. I'm starting to get the picture they're making this up as they go. After they leave, I notice my front door isn't shut all the way. Did one of them nudge it while I was distracted? The lock's fine, but I check it twice before going to bed. Then Luis calls at 10. "Martha, Two doors down says the HOA told her your noise is disturbing her kids' sleep. Martha's kids are grown and gone. She hasn't had a toddler in decades. That's when it clicks. They're not responding to real complaints. They're inventing a crisis, building a case to push me out. Next morning, I'm staining wood on the porch when I overhear Cynthia through an open window, her voice sharp as a blade. If we make things inconvenient, the restoration guy won't last long. And what about that special fund money? Another voice says. We'll use it if we have to get him out by any means. You ever feel someone planning your downfall while you're in the next yard? I switched on my phone to record pretending to be busy. Cynthia and her crew were cold clinical, talking about pressure tactics, equipment, even coordination with county officials to throw up roadblocks. That wasn't anger, it was strategy. Walter pops up by the fence looking worried. They did this to the last owners too, he whispers. Started with letters, then insurance hassles, invented violations until they finally sold and left. The same pattern, one family after another. Property damage fines, insurance headaches, just relentless until you break. As if on cue, across the street, the HOA team sets up shop, folding chairs, expensive cameras, detailed notebooks like, I'm an animal in a zoo. Luis snaps photos for me. This is nuts, he says. They're literally watching you breathe. If you've ever had your every move documented by strangers, let me know how you handled it, because I was one wrong step from losing it. That night, Walter brings old neighborhood photos. Back in the day, porches buzzed with life block parties everywhere, kids everywhere. But once the HOA got power in the 80s, the fun faded. Rules, fines, cold shoulders. Neighbors became strangers. The pictures tell the whole story, vibrant, then empty. All in the name of property values. Sound familiar? By now, the psychological game is getting to me. Sleep is tough with that red recording light blinking on a camera mounted high on the utility pole, reminder that I'm never really alone. Still, the key with 1985 carved into it won't leave my mind. That year meant something, maybe the year everything started going sideways. Saturday, everything flips. Luis brings coffee. Neighbors arrive one by one, Martha with cookies and a fat file folder. Tom, angry as a hornet. People start sharing stories, harassment, invented fines, forced repairs. One woman says her elderly parents moved out after years of this. Suddenly, it's not just my fight. Someone even slips an envelope under my door, typed note, no name. It details illegal HOA activities, names, account numbers, and most important, tells me to check the attic for hidden files. Sure enough, the attic's got a box with property deeds, HOA letters, logs of harassment. Turns out my house predates the HOA and original maps don't match their boundaries. I'm sitting on land that never should have been under their thumb. And I'm not alone. 3 more neighbors find similar irregularities. Monday morning, things go nuclear. The HOA shows up at dawn, cones and hazard tape, emergency safety inspection blocking my front steps, moving my tools, even standing guard at my own door. I call 911. Cops arrive, take one look at Cynthia's paperwork and laugh her off the porch. Remove the barriers or we'll charge you with trespassing. Cynthia, hands shaking, swears this isn't over. That night, she's back alone, softer, desperate, sits on my porch with a briefcase in a let's be reasonable act. Offers me $15,000 over what I paid check. Right there, if I agree to just go away quietly. Community investment in harmony, she calls it. I ask, and if I refuse? She starts hinting at permit hell, administrative delays, government headaches. Luis records every word. She's practiced smooth, this is her move. I check records online, and sure enough, other families have taken similar hush deals after months of targeted misery. But I'm done running. I grab the key, the documents, and Luis and I take everything to the county. Dana Harris, boundary specialist, cross-checks, maps, deeds, survey data. Her verdict: your property was never legally included. 40 years of fake authority. We get a land survey official confirmation. HOA's been bluffing for decades. Meanwhile, an old neighbor tells me about a time capsule proof hidden somewhere on my lot for a future owner to find. We spend a morning with a metal detector, finally hit something solid near the garden, a buried stone with a ring. The key fits perfectly. Underneath metal box labeled Time Capsule 1985. Inside the original deed, a letter from the first owners, a community agreement signed by the founding families. Neighbors' first rules follow: help each other, don't control each other. Dana confirms my house and 3 others are legally free. Word spreads like wildfire. HOA files are worthless, and Cynthia's left standing on the curb folder, shaking her power gone. Dana warns, any further harassment, and we press charges. County investigation uncovers years of misused funds, hush money, illegal land grabs. The key that started this whole mess now sits on my mantle, a reminder that sometimes fighting back means digging up what's been buried, refusing to be pushed out, and bringing a neighborhood back from the dead. So let me ask you, what's your take on justice? If a group like this tried to bulldoze you, would you dig in your heels or take the money and run? Share your thoughts, your own stories, your verdict on right and wrong. And if this hit home, hit that like button, pass it on to someone who loves a real-life plot twist, because sometimes the biggest restoration isn't about wood and paint, but setting things right.